Alright, I'm back with another recording. It is around 6 in the afternoon now. And we are moving on to the final location of Chapter 3, which is the Milky Well Sanctuary, where there's 3 more drops to get. And those will be the last drops of Chapter 3. The first one is from the Ranboob, which has a 2 in 128 chance of dropping a picnic lunch. There's the Tough Mobile Sprout, which has an 8 in 128 chance of dropping a sprig of parsley. And then finally, the Strut and Evil Mushroom, which has a 8 in 128 chance of dropping a rust promoter. And we already did the Strut and Evil Mushroom earlier, but there's 2 different versions of the Strut and Evil Mushroom. The red one, we already got their drop earlier in Chapter 3. This version of the Strut and Evil Mushroom is the green one. So its drop is different, because it's the green one. But before we start the grind, we have to kill the Sanctuary Guardian first. And the reason why is because when you kill the Sanctuary Guardian in a sanctuary, all of the enemies will start running away from you, no matter what. And I did a few things off camera. I sold a few things. I took the Jarfly honey to Escargot Express. I drank coffee with this Mr. Saturn here, and I got the picture from right here. But let's go. And if you guys were around from the first time I did this challenge, you guys would know that I am not a fan of the Milky Well Sanctuary. I think it's one of the most annoying parts of this entire game. And that's because all the enemies here either do so much damage to you, or they just completely overpower you. Like, for crying out loud, all of these enemies can group up with each other. The Tough Mobile Sprout really isn't that bad. But then there's the Strut and Evil Mushroom, which can poison you and give you a mushroom on your head, which reverses your controls in the overworld constantly. So that's great. I love having my controls reversed. Ooh, and that's unlocked Paralysis Omega. And then, of course, there's the freaking Ranboob. Hey, dude, it can cast freaking shields on itself and other enemies. They can make you fall asleep for a few turns. The damage they do is high. Like, I don't know. Wait, what? Huh? There was no Tough Mobile Sprout. Nah. Stop. Nah, this game is cheating, bro. There was no Strut and Evil Mushroom. Not Strut and Evil Mushroom. Tough Mobile Sprout. I swear to God there wasn't one. Of course he does that. Of course he does that. And that didn't even kill him. That's great. Okay, at least the Ranboob is dead. Oh yeah, in the EarthBound enemy drop challenge movie, great, Jeff has a freaking mushroom now. See, this is why I hate fighting these enemies, dude. Oh yeah, it also doesn't help that you can't really despawn enemies using snot, because the rooms, this first section here is very narrow. Well, really the entire sanctuary is pretty narrow. Like, there's no alternate paths, no secret presence here that you can find. Like, no, it's just nothing. Like, it's pretty straightforward. Dude, hate these freaking things, dude. Oh my god. Come on. Oh, that mobile sprout literally hid behind him. Oh my god, dude. But anyway, I thought the Ranboob's name was so... I don't know, it's so weird to say. Like, just imagine using that in a casual sentence. Yo, bro, I'm fighting some Ranboobs right now. So I literally made a joke in the EarthBound enemy drop challenge movie where once I explained I got their drop, I was like, wait, what is this guy's name? And then I literally showed a picture of it and said, yeah, I'm not saying that guy's name out loud. But I finally am doing that. Because a few times I referred to the Ranboob as Cactus Man. Because I do not like saying their name. Alright, so this outdoor area. Oh my god, dude. Why? I'm not trying to get mushrooms on my characters, dude. Oh yeah, and when you get a mushroom on your head, it also makes you start feeling strange. In which when you feel strange in this game, party members have a chance to hit themselves or another party member. So that's great. What is this, dude? Like, there's no way in heck they think fighting these enemies are fair. They do. I barely even want to fight these things singled out. Let alone when they're all grouped up with each other. Okay, why didn't I just do that the first time? Just walk straight past him. I'm giving this coin of slumber to Paula. She needs defense. And Jeff, he'll be alright. Alright, it's time to fight the next boss, the Trillionage Sprout. And just like Mondomo, when I first played this game back in February of 2025, I thought the Trillionage Sprout was one of the hardest bosses in the game. And the reason why is because, if I'm being honest, I did not know what I was doing. And the reason why I didn't know what I was doing is because the Trillionage Sprout here has a weakness to PSI Fire, which Paula can use. But the thing about that is that I wasted so much psychic points fighting all those enemies. Okay, he just blinded us, which is a good thing we have PSI. But yeah, I wasted so much psychic points fighting all the enemies because I hate them. So yeah, once I got to the Trillionage Sprout on my first playthrough of this game, Yeah, it did not go well. Okay, there we go. He's dead. Oh yeah, and by the way, no, the tough mobile sprouts that group up with the trillionaire sprout during the boss fight do not drop anything once the trillionaire sprout is defeated. So yeah, we actually have to grind for the tough mobile sprouts to drop. But at least 2 out of the 3 enemies here have high drop rates. Alright, let's get the third melody. Well, really it's the fourth. So yeah, the reason why I said this is the fourth melody is because for some reason the third melody plays in the fourth sanctuary and then the fourth melody plays here in the third sanctuary because they got it mixed up. My question is, did the person placing the melodies here actually play the game and actually listen to the 8 melodies? Like there's no way they could have messed up that badly. Yeah, run away from me. Run away from me. Y'all were destroying me earlier. It's time for me to destroy you now. Alright, so my first target is the Ranbu, because they're the only enemy here with the low drop rates. The other 2 enemies are 8 and 128. But the Ranbu just decided to be different and have a 2 and 128 drop. Because of course he has to be different. Alright, we have him singled out. And he's stuck on this wall. Alright, this will take a while, most likely. But let's get started with the grind. So yeah, because the enemies run away after you kill a Sanctuary Guardian, most of the time you'll get a green swirl on them, which is a sneak attack in this game. And that's good, because that'll make the grinding faster. And when I first did this challenge, I was on my way to defeat the Trillionaire Sprout, and I somehow managed to get the Ranbu to drop on the first try. Wait, actually, was it on the first try? I actually don't remember now. Yeah, I don't actually remember now. But I do think it was the first try. Honestly, we might get through the entirety of the Milky Well enemies in just one day. Because well, not all of them. Most of them have high drop rates. And then we're grinding for the low drop rate first, which is a good thing. Because usually when you do this challenge, you want to go for the enemies with the lower drop rates first. But my idiot self is like, nah, let's do the higher drop rates first. But don't worry, the game is just giving me mercy right now. Because chapter 4 and onward, that's when these drops do not play around anymore. Because I'm like pretty much every enemy after chapter 3 has low drop rates. High drop rates basically don't exist once you get past chapter 3. So yeah, this is just the easy part of the challenge. So yeah, there's going to be lower drop rates, more enemy grouping. The enemies themselves are going to be more difficult to fight. And on top of that, the chapters are going to be longer. And the locations within the chapters are going to be longer too. Like, dude, don't even get me started on the Dusty Dunes Desert. Hey, dude, once I got the final drop from the Dusty Dunes Desert, I literally played the Crab Rave in the EarthBound Enemy Drop Challenge movie. I literally played the Crab Rave because it was that bad of an experience. Like, seriously, I spent like 4 days getting most of the drops. But to be fair, I didn't think to use save states at the time because I didn't have as much knowledge about the drops as I do now. Because, you know, back then I was like, oh, just find enough of these and then hope you get the item. But no, the enemy actually has the item. So, for those who don't know, I'm just going to put it in simple terms. As soon as you start a battle, everything is calculated, including if you land a hit, if you miss, if the enemy misses, if you get a smash attack, all of that stuff, including the enemy's drop. That's determined at the start of a battle. But the way the game determines that is actually the enemy itself. As soon as you touch an enemy, the game has to decide which enemy in the battle will have their specific drop. And then once they choose that enemy in the battle, they have to calculate the percentages of that enemy's drop actually happening. See, like right now, the game says that the rainbow should have their specific item because they're the only enemy in this battle because they're singled out. But then the game has to calculate the percentages of the rainbow's drop actually happening. So yeah, in short, during a battle, one of the enemies during the battle actually has the item. You just don't know that because the game has to calculate the percentages. So yeah, basically, even if they do actually have the item, they won't drop it. Like the game knows the rainbow has the item, but it just has to calculate the percentages of it happening. So you have to be incredibly lucky to get these drops. And that's why I always single out the targets. Because if you don't single out the targets, it becomes much more complicated. If there was another enemy with this rainbow right now, the game would have to decide which of those two enemies will have their item. in which it will pick between the Ranboo or the other enemy. But then here's the bad part about that. Because there's 2 enemies during that battle, it would divide both of the enemies' drop rates actually happening by 2. And it gets even worse if there's 3 enemies during a battle. And that's because it will divide all of the enemies' drops by 3. So yeah, in short, it's really difficult to go for these drops if the enemies group up. So yeah, just know that everything is decided at the start of a battle. Like, the game could give me the drop right here, and I wouldn't even know it. And that's especially why you have to play this version of the game that has save states, which is pretty much every version besides the original. And that's because with save states, you can be more persistent. Because instead of actually going out of your way and actually grinding for the enemy, you can just single out your target, put it in a save state, and do what I like to call resetting. Which resetting means if you don't get the enemy's drop during the first battle, you load the save state, then you press the B button, because for some reason opening up the menu by pressing the B button manipulates the RNG for some reason. I don't know, it's never explained why it does that. And then turn that into a save state. And then try again to get the enemy's drop. So instead of actually grinding, what you're really doing with this method is what I like to call looking for the right frame where the item appears. Which I know is a long name, but what do you want me to say? So yeah, it's really not even, I'm really not even grinding here. I'm just looking for the right frame where the item appears. Also, I can't believe that we already have almost 50 out of the 141 drops already. Like, dude, I never thought it would be this many already. course, this challenge is not over until I get all 141 enemy drops. In which, even then, when I actually get the 141st drop, I still have to actually beat the game. Because, I mean, how would I actually beat the challenge if I don't actually beat the game? But yeah, I already know the late game's gonna be an absolute train wreck. It's gonna be an absolute train wreck, dude. Because every enemy all of a sudden wants to have low drop rates. Yo, what is this? He dodged all of our attacks. Bro, everyone missed. Bro, come on. I don't know why I went to... Dude, why did I go to the right? Dude, I'm actually stupid. Oh yeah, you guys might be wondering why I'm actually doing this challenge. And why I did the challenge the first time in the first place. And the reason why is because it's actually been a childhood dream of mine to make a challenge video of my own. You see, for years, I've been watching challenge videos on YouTube, such as Nathaniel Bandy's challenges, where he usually tries to collect all the coins in Mario games. Or Nico BBQ's challenge videos, where he tries to beat Mario games without touching coins. And of course, there were also some Minecraft YouTubers that would make challenges, such as surviving on a deserted island, or surviving on Skyblock or something. Especially this YouTuber called Mudflaps, who makes the most insane Minecraft challenges you could ever think of. I mean, this guy literally beat the game starting with nothing. He even beat Minecraft super flat. He managed to get every armor trim in the game. And even all the tropical fish in Minecraft. And then of course I came across some EarthBound challenge videos, such as the low level challenge, in which you have to try your best to beat the game with the lowest amount of experience possible. There was the ultimate EarthBound run, in which this guy named Flyhammer managed to beat the entirety of EarthBound without using any PSI, weapons, items, or save states. Like, dude, he's an absolute champion for completing that challenge. There's a reason why it was called the ultimate EarthBound run. And then, of course, the inspiration for this challenge, the 1 in 128 challenge, by a guy named Hermes. And he basically did what I'm doing right now, but instead of collecting all of the drops, he went for all of the drops that have a 1 in 128 chance of being dropped. It was a very interesting video. So I managed to get an idea back in November where I was like, I took the video from Flyhammer and the video from Hermes, and I was like, why not go for every single enemy drop in EarthBound? And I did the challenge, and I managed to beat it in 38 days. Or did I beat it? And the reason why I'm saying did I beat it is because I technically didn't finish the challenge. And you might be saying, Gamer Mally SMM2, you literally made so many videos about it. What do you mean you didn't beat the challenge? Well, there was this boss that has a 4 in 128 chance of dropping something named Captain Strong. And let me remind you guys, you cannot refight bosses in this game. So you only get one shot to get his drop. I tried to get that guy's drop for over 7 hours, and I didn't get it. So I became extremely frustrated, and I was like, you know what? I'm disqualifying this drop from counting towards the challenge. So yeah, I technically cheated during that challenge the first time I did it. But hey, I actually decided to suffer and get Captain Strong's drop this time. And it felt monumentally insane, dude. Because again, that was my first ever time getting Captain Strong's drop from this game. I've never gotten it when I first played this game back in February of 2025. I never gotten it the first time I did this challenge. I never gotten it during any of my casual playthroughs. And I never gotten it during the practice rounds of this challenge. So yeah, this run right here was actually the first time I actually managed to get his drop. So it felt really good, knowing that I can actually beat the challenge now. And the thing is, that was literally the only drop I disqualified the first time I did this challenge. That was literally the only one. So once we get the 141st drop, I can finally call the challenge complete. But we only have 45 drops out of 141. I'm too lazy to do the math, but that's a lot more to get. We have a long way to go. So yeah, it's gonna take a while. Now, obviously, I'm not gonna be excited for some of the drops I have to get, because if I'm being honest, I still have PTSD getting some of those drops from the first time I did this challenge. Like literally when I see that enemy, I just get flashbacks of just endlessly grinding. For example, all the enemies in the Dusty Dunes Desert. Because again, I played the Crab Grave when I got the final drop there. And then of course, I get flashbacks from the Deep Darkness Swamp, which is in Chapter 7. Mainly because the first time I did this challenge, I ended up somehow losing so much progress one day, even though I vividly remember saving the game. So yeah, that was fun. And the only reason I managed to actually save the challenge was because of a save state I used previously in Chapter 7. So yeah, I got lucky. Because you want to know how much progress I lost? I lost progress from Chapter 4, 5, 6, and 7. That is literal weeks worth of progress I lost right there. But hey, that save state literally saved the entire challenge. If I didn't use that save state, I would have been cooked. And the challenge would have taken a lot longer than 38 days. Okay, we're about 37 minutes into the recording. And if I'm being honest, I don't think we're gonna get this drop soon. If I'm being honest, I did not have high hopes for this drop at all. But like I said earlier, this is just easy mode for the drops because every enemy just decides to have low drop rates later in the game. Because of course they do. Like, do the developers just want you to suffer attempting this challenge? Because they coded in the drops as something that happens randomly. Like, for example, what if I was just randomly fighting this Ranboob and I just so happened to get the picnic lunch from it? You know, right then and there, I would be like, oh, nice. He dropped a present. But, of course, there's players that actually want to go out of their way to get all of the enemy drops, myself included. And it's pretty funny that I say that because the enemy's drops are something that just randomly happens and the game just expects you to just move on. But then they also discourage you from getting all of them. You know, it's almost like you're punished for trying to grind for a specific drop. That's why players like me have to use strategies to single out enemies and get the drops much quicker, such as using save states or snot. In which snot is a very useful part for the challenge. Because with snot, you can literally despawn or spawn any enemy you want. And that's because of this. It's because of the sides of the screen. Because for whatever reason, the sides of the screen in this game have godlike powers. If you walk far away enough from it, oh, we got it. We got the I'ma just not talk anymore. I've already yapped on for like 40 minutes now. Wait, do you see this? How do they expect you to fight these enemies like this? We got it. Okay, I'm giving this to Paula. And I'm gonna just save the game at the shop since it's closer to the Milky Well Sanctuary. And I don't really need to use the hotel because we already have full HP. Oh man, that took a while. That was like 40 minutes. But we'll do the rest of Milky Well later.